In a recent conversation, Daljit Banger, who is the British Computer Society's lead on enterprise architecture, asked me about opinions about roles and role types for architects. There's all sorts of different roles about solution architect, project architect, security architect, applications architect, and so on, including enterprise architect. So how do they all fit together? What are they each? And also that it forms a kind of career path, if that's what you choose. So the first level, there are 4 distinct levels really. There's the task architect, who's dealing with one thing at a time, a solution architect, who's dealing with all of the issues around a single project. There's a domain architect, who's a kind of specialist, and an enterprise architect, who has to cover everything. So a task architect, by that I mean someone who's a local specialist. It's actually where I started in enterprise architecture, doing data architecture for a particular project. In fact, when I was doing development of the original software for desktop publishing, I also became a kind of solution architect. I had to do the application architecture, I had to do the data architecture, I had to do the market architecture as well, the user interface architecture, the user experience architecture, and all of those. So that's what a solution architect does. A domain architect is a specialist, but they cover architecture for a particular domain. Hence things like brand architecture, software architecture, applications architecture, security architecture, all of those kind of themes that cross-cutting across the whole space, but still what we might call a T-shape. There's a lot of detail in one area and enough knowledge to how to connect to other areas. And finally, we have the enterprise architect, who we might describe as a comb-shaped generalist. You've got to be able to connect absolutely everything across the entire space. Classically, this started out in IT, but these days an enterprise architect needs to cover anything across the enterprise, including beyond the organization itself. So we have these 4 distinct types. The early stage work is where you develop the idea of architecture at all, in task architecture. Then solution architecture is about linking all these different areas together. A domain architect is another kind of specialist, but covers that specialism across the whole space. And the enterprise architect is covering really anything and everything across a long period of time as well, much longer than the time solution for a single project. So that's role types for architects, which can also be thought of as a kind of career path, if that's what you choose to do.